And welcome back. I'm Nathan Lamb, Director of Outreach and Community Relations for Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services. This is Aging Well, our monthly program on issues and concerns that matter to older adults and people living with disabilities. And we are still here with my outstanding guest, Dana Beguerie, who's one of our transition facilitators. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Great to have you. So we are discussing hospital-to-home checklists. And I have to admit, I'm a huge fan of telling people what not to do. It is right up there on my list. And so basically, we have this handy checklist we made of common hospital-to-home mistakes. And I was just hoping that maybe we could go over some of the most common mistakes and help our viewers avoid some of these common pitfalls.
Sure. So one of the most important things is having medication at home. So if patients have been discharged with new prescriptions, they absolutely should get them filled, especially if it's an antibiotic or insulin, other diabetes-related medication that should be started immediately. And sometimes we do have patients come back to the hospital because they didn't have their meds available, and a lot of time that comes down to transportation issues or not having a friend or family member that can do that for them. So one of the things that our program does is help arrange transportation for patients if they need to pick up medications.
Very important.
Very important.
Absolutely. And I know I'm circling back to the doctor's appointment, but we felt it was so important, we'd mention it twice. How important is that primary care doctor appointment?
Very important, very important. We've had patients that have skipped their primary care appointments because they said that they felt too sick to go, which is a perfect reason to go see your primary care doctor. What happens instead is those patients still feel lousy when the evening comes and they end up coming back to the emergency room because they're dealing with a lot of the same issues that they had before and they're scared, understandably. So we can alleviate a lot of that anxiety by having patients attend their primary care appointments.
There's probably some value added by seeing the primary care doctor because they will know the patient and their history better than if they go down to the emergency room.
Exactly. And sometimes their doctor, since they do know them so well, wants to make different types of changes to their medication because they know the patient. So it's another reason why it's important.
The emergency room probably is no one's first option if they can be a little more proactive.
Exactly. Yeah, we really want to make sure that patients are being more proactive about their care and taking care of themselves.
Oh, excellent. So here's an interesting one. Don't feel you need to rely on the family for full-time hands-on care?
Yep.
Is that a common, how does that one play out?
A lot of times we'll see patients in the hospital that may have arrived because their caregivers are burnt out. So organizations like Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services that can provide care will step in to supplement what the caregiver is doing. And there's a few different programs over at Elder Services, but they can help with things like homemaking, bathing, transportation, get one of those Lifeline, the I've fallen and I can't get up button.
Sure.
We can make sure patients have that, as well as little things like grocery shopping, laundry, those kinds of supports.
Now, in your experience, is it a case where a lot of times people will want to rely on family instead of seeking outside help? Is that one of those factors that you kind of have to deal with in these sorts of things? A reluctance to seek assistance when people need it? Is this something that you see, or are there other factors in play?
We actually see it from the patient as well as the caregiver. We do have caregivers that want to be the full care provider and they don't want to have anybody else coming in just because they're concerned about their parents, so they're the one that wants to be there 24/7. For patients, a lot of that actually happens when discussions about bathing come up. Patients are very uncomfortable, understandably so, with having someone they don't know help them get washed up every day.
Certainly. Absolutely. And I know at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services, we do have the great program, Adult Family Care, which supports the caregivers, which is really just such a great program. And it's interesting because the things I've heard about it, a lot of it is actually supporting the caregivers to make sure they don't burn out.
Yep.
But there's some eligibility requirements there too.
There are, yeah. Caregiver burnout is a really big issue. So we really try to step in and do what we can to make sure they feel supported, so the patient gets the best care that they need.
And I guess that goes back to knowing what supports are available and getting in touch with the Aging Information Center at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services if they have questions about what's available.
Absolutely. Happy to answer any questions they may have.
And I see one more here. Asking for written instructions if prescribed new medications, told to do new activities, or advised to follow a certain diet. So it's there's not really a general expectation that they can give you instructions, but they don't give it in writing. That's terrifying because I remember nothing basically, and I need things to be written down. And so they should be getting that. It's something where they should ask and should be able to receive it fairly easily.
Yes, a lot of that information should be on their discharge summary. Any changes about their diet, foods that they should be avoiding, foods that they should absolutely be eating, that information can be given to them as well by a nutritionist in the hospital. Once patients are home, if they really need more information about their nutrition and how to eat around like these new requirements that they've been given, thank you. We have a nutritionist at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services that can do home visits. She can also do phone consultations and review all that information to make sure the patient really understands what they should be doing to take care of themselves.
And people can access that service by contacting the Aging Information Center?
Yes.
That's outstanding. My doctor will write down instructions, and I will not be able to read her writing.
Really? It's not printed out on the computer?
I think as we move towards this like mobile printout sort of world, but she's given me handwritten notes, and I look at it, and I'm like, I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, that's not very helpful.
So be sure to ask for something in writing that you can decipher.
Absolutely.
And I guess one other aspect of things we'll touch on to wrap things up. I was curious if you could tell me a little bit about the Care Transitions program at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services.
Sure. So our Care Transitions program is called Hospital to Home. We started the program in 2012 in conjunction with Cambridge Health Alliance. So myself and another transition facilitator have a space over at Cambridge Hospital so that we can meet with patients when they've been admitted, introduce ourselves, introduce the program. We also have a nurse practitioner that can see patients as well. So between the three of us, we make home visits, we do phone calls, we follow up with patients for basically a month, making sure that they have everything that they need. For some patients, that means it's just a phone call, reminding them of appointments, just checking in to say, hey, how you doing? Want to make sure you don't have any questions or anything. And then for some, it's the more in-depth stuff like mass health applications, setting up home care services, linking to other community supports, those kinds of things.
And the focus of the program is helping them with that hospital to home.
Yep, to help with the transition.
Absolutely. And who is this program available to?
Right now, the program's available to patients with Medicare. We are working on expanding that right now since it has been so successful. So we have the program at Somerville-Cambridge, which is based out of Cambridge Hospital, and then Mystic Valley Elder Services, which is another aging services access point, covers Whidden Hospital and the Hallmark system, which includes Melrose Wakefield and Lawrence Memorial Hospitals.
So basically, if I understand correctly, your team takes a lot of this knowledge, which we've just shared with our viewers, and you guys kind of apply it to people who are coming out of the hospital, making sure that the checklist is followed and things of that nature. So
exactly.
It's kind of a support for ensuring that's done correctly.
Yeah. We want to make sure patients feel supported and that they have a place to go to if they have any questions or concerns.
That's awesome. And just to remember, the Aging Information Center at Somerville-Cambridge Elder Services, always a great place to go if you have questions about services and supports. That's all the time we have for today. Again, I'm Nathan Lamb. I want to thank Dana Beguerie one last time for being such a fantastic guest.
Thank you.
Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.